Welcome to the Outside Basketball Podcast. We have another special guest in the building. Her name is Achol Akot. This is our fourth episode of season one. We're super excited and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So, Achol, you grew up in a neighborhood called Britannia Woods in Ottawa. Describe how it was growing up there and how you got introduced to basketball.
Yeah. I think anybody that grew up in like Britannia or Richie would say it's like kind of like a village. Like everybody's house door is like unlocked. You can go into anybody's house. Everybody's playing at this water park that's in the middle of the neighborhood. Basketball is just like weaved in the neighborhood. Like everybody used to play basketball, but it was mostly like the boys that played basketball because there was a court outside. And there was like a specific time everybody would come to the court and like the sun would be blazing at that one spot. And it was just crazy. But I got introduced to basketball probably in middle school,
Mhm.
like when I was in grade 3, but it wasn't anything serious. It was only 3-on-3, just played because I played every sport. So
Mhm.
it was just like I was just playing another sport. It wasn't anything serious.
Right. And when did you realize you actually have a passion for the sport?
Yeah. So, Britannia Woods, like, they usually have tournaments with other neighborhoods or other communities. And I remember Britannia Woods had a basketball team, and they needed two girls or at least one to play in the tournament. And my brother asked me to come play in the tournament because one of the girls, like her mom said she couldn't go or something like that. So in the morning, he was like, please, like, come play with us, please. You don't have to do much. Just, when I pass you the ball, like, just score. Or like, when you get the ball, just pass it back to me. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. I'm tired. And it was like at 7 a.m. And I was like, I'm tired. He's like, please. And I came and I did really well at the tournament. I got MVP. And
Wow.
I was like, I can really do this. Like, I'm good at the sport. It's fun. So I think that was like the start of my passion.
hmm And so from there, you played club ball, and then you played 1 year at a CTA girls program, and then that's when I think you ran into us. And when we met you, you were kind of contemplating quitting basketball. That was, I remember, a tough point in your life. Can you describe what was going on in your life at that point where you were contemplating your future in the sport?
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of things going on. Like in our family, there was a death in our family. And then um in that situation, my brother was hurt. And also COVID just started to happen.
Mhm.
So while I was still grieving the death, like there was no school. So I was at home like a lot of the time. And being at home, you're just with your siblings and it was just like everything was just too much in my life. And I was like, I don't
Wow.
think I can add the stress of basketball on top because also basketball, like uh, you have to pay financially and you have to give your time and things like that. So I didn't think that I could keep going with that. And it was
Mhm.
like I kind of lost the fire for the
Right.
sport or the passion for the sport at that time. But yeah.
And so when you signed on to CCA, you you were living in the West and you're still living where you were living in Ritchie, correct?
Mhm.
And so you had to wake up. I read in an article that you had to wake up at 4:30 just to get to 7:45 practices, and it'll take you a couple hours there and a couple hours home. There were like sacrifices that you had to make. What was motivating you to do this? Like, did you just kind of throw caution into the wind and say, you know what, I'm just going to do what I have to do? Like, what was that motivation?
I think like going back to like everything that was happening in my life, I think CCA and like basketball was my escape kind of because it was like, I would travel into like a different place, going to Orleans and like they speak French there and it's like just so different. And I was like, this is my escape. This is like where I can go where like everybody just sees me as a shoulder basketball player, not like my situation that's going on in my life.
Sure.
And also, I just think like I just felt like everybody was not doing anything, and that
Right.
was my way of doing something and like investing in my future. And
Hmm.
I was like, I'm not just gonna stay home and just sleep all day. Like, let me
Right.
try to do something that other people are not doing right now, and hopefully it pays off.
Hmm. So it definitely paid off, in retrospect. But you play with a certain type of passion. Your passion, you kind of wear it on your shoulders, on your sleeves, so to speak. That passion eventually got you noticed on the AAU circuit. Can you describe that situation and how that happened?
Yeah, I think so I never played AAU before, and you were able to help me with that, and you know, send me to the right people. And at that time, like the coach kept telling me, "Don't worry about anything else, but trying to get schools." And he was like, "Just go out there and ball. Like, there's nothing to lose. You don't have any schools right now, so there's nothing you can lose." So I think in that time, I was just okay. Let me try to get schools. Let me ball out and show everybody that I could really do this. And that was just my mindset throughout AAU and playing. And I felt like I did have something on my shoulder. I felt like I had my family on my shoulder, and I
Sure.
had to do this for my family. And like all the time I invested at CCA and all the time I invested like going to school and 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 on the train and all the sleepless nights and all those things. So
Mm.
yeah.
And so when I remember speaking to one of the coaches that was watching you, that eventually started to watch you in this AU situation, she said she was watching one court and then she looked over and saw just hair and legs and arms just going crazy. So she said, "Nah, I'm gonna move over to that court." And I think that was from in retrospect, I think that was the dam breaking. So I think you just knowing about your journey, the coaches really started to notice you more and more and more. And you ultimately received over 20 D1 offers, which is insane for a kid that was practically unknown the 2 months prior. Describe that recruiting process and how you eventually had to shut it down. And you being a private person, what was that like?
Yeah, I think looking back, I would say that was honestly like the worst time in my life. It was the best time and it was the worst time because, like you said, I'm not a person that talks to a lot of people. Like, before that, I didn't even have a phone number, so people couldn't even call me, and I just felt like it was very overwhelming, but also I was very grateful. I was like, I went from 0 schools to, like, 30, and it was really insane, and I was very grateful, but I was like, "We need to box this in and and, like, shut it down and, like, focus on the schools that are actually really interested in me and that are investing the most time and makes sense to go to that school. Like, what's
Right.
the right situation for me?
Cool.
And I just felt like once one school heard about me, and when they hear that school's interested, another school is like, okay, if they're interested, let me get on to this. And word went out, and that's why I was able to get a lot of schools. But yeah, it was just me being in the right place at the right time
Mhm,
and performing at the right time. So.
mhm. And a lot of players feel that they need to score the ball like crazy to get noticed. You got noticed on pure effort and energy and having a high motor. Where does I mean, you spoke about the motivation that you had and the passion that you play with, but I remember you playing at CCA where we would have to force you to score and because you didn't want to score. Is it because you're from such a tight-knit family, a large family, that you had to look out for someone else? Was it that kind of mentality that forced you to play the way you play?
I think, not only from my family, but, like, growing up in Britannia, like, playing with the guys, you had a certain role. There's a reason why you're playing with the guys, not because you're the main scorer or something like that. So I think just playing with them and my role, I knew I couldn't score on them. So I was like, okay, these people are too big. Let me feed some other people that can score on them.
Mhm.
And that's how I'm gonna be able to stay on the court. So finding your role and why you're on the court was like a big thing for me. And that was my way, like passes and rebounding and defense became my ultimate thing playing against the guys because I can play defensive. If you're not gonna back me down, I'm gonna pick you up earlier before you back me down. So, and that was my mindset. And the skill work and stuff didn't come in until later, till I got to CCA. But you know, just the passion was there from the beginning.
Mhm. And so do you the schools that you received offers from were huge schools. Were you overwhelmed at the fact that the schools that you used to watch on TV or hear about were actually calling your phone?
Definitely, I was very surprised. Like I was very surprised that they would reach out to me and I could play at that level. But I just felt like my CCA teammates they were getting recruited D1 and I played with them every single day. So I'm like, if I'm playing with them and they're going D1, I can go there too, you know? And so I was like, I'm around the competition, I'm around the people, so why not me, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I think that's how I looked at it. Definitely.
Okay. And so you just came out of March Madness, which you used to watch that on TV, and then now you're in it. Explain the experience of March Madness because there's a lot of people that will watch this and only dream of playing on a March Madness floor in, the round of 64 and 32 and, and 16 and 8, 4. Like, you didn't quite get to that level, unfortunately, but describe the experience of going through all there is that all the trappings of March Madness.
Yeah. March Madness is honestly like you said, it was my dream. Like I wanted to play at that stage and be there. And once I was there, I just felt like it was just so exciting. It was an unreal experience. I feel like, you know, the more you get there, the more like you don't realize how grateful you should be that you're there. And
Mhm.
because it was my first March Madness, I was like, okay, like let me just get this out. Let me get the jitters out and just go and play. And sometimes it's hard for teams because, you go from playing a team that's in your seed and then going to the number one team the next game.
Right.
And and every team is good in the tournament, so you can't underestimate anybody. And just that level of play, I've just dreamed of that, just playing amongst the best players and being able to perform. And um, it was my first time, and hopefully next time, or I mean next time, we're gonna go far and do better in the tournament. So yeah.
And so you talked about playing defense and rebounding. Throughout the season at Oklahoma State, you had to guard some incredible players. One of the players was Audie Crooks. Describe that experience because not a lot of people have had success against that girl. How did you manage to how was that experience guarding someone of that size and that skill set?
Yeah, I think I watched a lot of film, and from watching that film, like I've seen that like a lot of players like that are comfortable, and the more you allow them to be comfortable, the more they're able to dominate you. So I just felt like, if you're gonna score, okay, I'm gonna score.
Mhm,
And we'll see who has the better stamina to keep playing and who's able to score at a high level.
mhm,
And that's how I went into the game, definitely. And I just feel like the games that I have a mission, or like I have a personal mission on the team, or what I have a personal role to do in that game, I feel
mhm,
like I play my best basketball in that game. If I have I'm not saying I'm only motivated by, certain things, but I'm just saying like when I have a mission, that's usually my best game because I'm focused on the things that are not just scoring and things like that, but like, stopping this player and sometimes stopping this player is that I have to score as well.
Right.
So,
And then you played against Princeton in the first round and you had 28-10. That was a crazy game. And then you followed that up with a 23-point outpouring against UCLA, guarding 6'7" on a regular basis. Those these these players that you have to play against, you obviously do film and you do research and you have a mission and a role, depending on the scout and what your coaches are asking you to do. Do you find that you're better at scouting now, whereas maybe in high school you didn't do much scouting apart from what the coaches are doing? Did you do like personal research on different players in high school?
um, yeah, high school, I did not watch film, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like the first time I watched film in high school was, um, when we were going into the tournament and we played against Toby. And I was like, "No, I need to see what I need to see her flaws and what I can do to stop her." And I think that was my first, like, time getting introduced to watching film and watching players and how that can help you. And I think after that, um, that's when I got really invested in film. And when I was a freshman, like, just watching practices back and with my assistant coach and him telling me, "Oh, you need to tweak this, you need to do this better, you need to fix your foot this way," and things like that, and I just started to love that side of basketball,
Mm,
because you never really get to that side unless maybe you're injured or you don't play,
right.
and usually I am playing, so I'm on the court, so I never see that side of basketball, so to be able to do that is just great.
So you're currently at Oklahoma State, and you are one of the hottest commodities in the country. Does how does that kind of make you feel where the work that you've put in from high school to your first year, second year, and now your third year, like, do you ever look back at the work you've done, or do you always look towards the future on how can I improve?
Yeah, I think the only time I look back is when I come home and looking at the same gym, working out with Coach Fab and seeing CCA players and seeing you guys is when I look back and I'm like, I really came from here and now I'm over there. And I think that's when like I get even more motivation to do what I need to do in the next coming year when I get back on campus. But
Mhm,
um I think throughout the year I'm focusing on honestly, March. I'm
mm,
like, how can I be the best player to kill it in March? And how can I throughout the season be present, but also know that I have other things to come
mhm.
and just looking at that from that perspective.
So you spoke about coming back home. You have a large family, and from what I hear, you have some people coming up. You have a younger sister, you've had your older brothers. Has basketball been a part of your family from the beginning, or is it just something that you guys just do for recreation?
Yeah, so I think like our family was a very active family. Like my dad installed that to us from a young age and um you know, my sister was the first one to get into basketball, but my brother was the first one to take basketball to another level
Mhm.
and to actually put our name on the map as a basketball family.
Right.
And still to this day, people are arguing in my family
Mm,
who's the best one. And I'm sitting, I'm like, I'm the best one. I went D1, Like, I don't even know why we're having this discussion, but there's still discussions of, oh, no, I'm going to cook you out of this and that. And also my other cousins, they also play basketball and they're here in the States. So they think they're the best one. So I think basketball grew up with us as
mhm,
well. Like, it wasn't there from the beginning, but it grew up with us. And now it's just a part, it's in our DNA. And like you said, my younger brother is getting into basketball and, I'm trying to help him and invest in his future as well and get him
mhm,
on that path. So, yeah.
mhm. So now that you're a basketball veteran, you can now pour back into your family and your friends,
Mhm.
and they look at you. I know that they look at you as a role model. How does it feel to be one of the one of the most accomplished basketball players coming out of Ottawa, much less coming out of your family? How does that make you feel?
I mean, it feels great, you know? Um, in South Sudanese culture, like, it's very important to, like, make your parents proud, and, you know, my mom and my dad, like, they came to Canada for a reason. They came so that we can be better than them, and I think, you know, I've shown that many times, and that's what motivates me every single day to be the first one to graduate. You know, it's something small for other people, but it's very big in my household, and you know, I wouldn't be able to do that without my parents and my family also just giving me support every single day and making me um know that, you know, like for example in March Madness, like my mom was telling me, you know, even though you lost, like, you're the first one in our family that has ever even went to D1, you know? So it's good to look at the small things and those accomplishments. And
What are your long-term goals with the sport of basketball?
I think for me is definitely to go far in March Madness.
Mhm.
Um I want to go to the WNBA and not just be drafted, but like, you know, or be able to go to a camp, but actually be drafted and and go play at the WNBA for a long time, have a career there. Um and you know, ultimately to give back to my community. I want to be the biggest name in basketball in Ottawa. Like no one could touch me, you know? And I want to be one of those heroes in Canada that everybody knows and can look to. Um and yeah.
Achol Akot. Thanks for coming on, boss.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, no, it was a pleasure. I knew you were one of the targets that we had to go attack because your story is very unique and a lot of people don't know about it. So we kind of have the inside scoop, but I wanted to kind of share your story with the rest of the world because I know that you are one of the beacons that has come out of this city. And I think, with the articles that you've been in, a lot of people, even within your own team, didn't know your situation. So
Mhm.
I'm thankful that I've been a part of the journey, but I'm just a small piece now. Now it's all about creating your own kind of legacy and journey. And I'm super, super proud of you.
Thank you.
All right, girl, go back to class.
Okay.
Okay, bye.